Welcome back to Old School Sports and our OOTP 22 playthrough of the New York Yankees. We are at the start of the 2023 season, and over the last year and a half that we have been running the team, we absolutely have reshaped it in our own vision. Gone are longtime Yankees, including Aroldis Chapman, Gio Urshela, Gary Sanchez, Giancarlo Stanton, Luis Severino, and several others have left either through free agency or via trade over the last season and a half or the last year and a half. We've only played one season. So we have absolutely reshaped the team in our mold, in our vision. It's not perfect, but it is definitely our team now. So the goal is to improve significantly on the 76 and 86 record we had last season. As I mentioned at the end of our off-season episode, our previous episode, the key way that we have really reshaped the team is buying into the old adage that you can never have enough pitching, because we have gone hardcore in terms of how much we've invested in our pitching staff. Garrett Cole, obviously one of the top starters in the league, has won 2 straight Cy Young Awards, and we have him signed up for another 6 seasons, assuming he doesn't opt out. That contract will probably become difficult for us at some point, but right now it's still good. We just signed Aaron Nola to a 5-year contract at $18 million a year. Last season, we signed Carlos Rodon to a similar contract, 5 years, $18 million. He was pitching well for us before he tore his elbow ligament last year, but hopefully we'll be back by about mid-season. We signed Sean Manaea to a 7-year contract, so he will be with us. And we still have Jordan Montgomery. This is his last year of arbitration. We'll have to decide what to do with him in this offseason. Maybe we can sign him beforehand. We have Noah Syndergaard, who was lingering on the free agent list. Signed him towards the end of free agency when no one else wanted him. Clearly, he's only pitched 7 games over the last 3 seasons, so a risk there, but another very high upside arm if he can stay healthy for $5.6 million. And then the last potential starter that we have on the team, Jameson Taillon, recently signed him to a 4-year extension at just $3 million a year. So we have a lot of very high quality, high upside options for our starting pitching. If everyone's healthy when we get Rodon back, we will be in great shape, but we are betting that using the vast resources that we have as the New York Yankees on our pitching staff is going to help differentiate us between what we're able to achieve and what other teams can achieve. You can see we've got the second biggest payroll in the game right now, a little money left for free agents and fitting people in with trades. But the goal is absolutely to bounce back from that first losing season for the Yankees in many years and do it with the team that we are building. As the new season gets started, we've made great strides with our farm system. You can see that we're the second-ranked farm system at this point, with the 2nd, 16th, 48th, 53rd, and 58th prospects. Our top 5, Vargas and Dominguez, were in the system when we joined the team, and Montoya, Castillo, and Palomo are a player that we signed through the international free agents, and also 2 players that were just picked up by our scout in his scouting of Latin America. So has definitely paid off so far to invest heavily into scouting and player development, and hopefully will continue to pay dividends in the coming years. And before we even played our first game of the season, you can see we're here on opening day getting ready to play Boston against Chris Sale. Rodon has a setback in his recovery, going to be at least 4 months. So we're hoping to have him by the All-Star break. Now at this point, getting him sometime in August and hopefully having him have 5 or 6 starts before potential postseason may be the best case scenario that we're looking for. But as you know, we invested heavily in starting pitchers, so we were prepared to not have him for the bulk of this season. And just 2 games into the season, both losses to the Red Sox. I mentioned last episode that we had lost our starting center fielder who we had just signed to a 4-year extension for most, if not all, of this season. And then Estevan Florial, who we brought up from Scranton to replace Bellinger in center field, just went out for 5 weeks. So we are going to be piecing center field together for the near term with not a lot of people that are really well equipped to play it. I think the best situation for us is going to probably be to bring up Greg Allen from Scranton. We've had him there as a backup. He's certainly ready for the major leagues. He is better defensively than Brandon Lockridge, who is our other option, although Lockridge is a bit better of a hitter. But we'll bring Greg Allen up and hope that he can piece through things for us and keep the offense and defense moving forward in an acceptable way until we're able to get, first of all, Florial back and then eventually Bellinger. Well, as we talked about, you can never have too much pitching, and we're proving it as one of our recent free agent acquisitions, Sean Manaea, fractured shoulder, essentially out for the rest of the season. So he had pitched decently in the 2 starts that he had for us, but he is on the 60-day IL now with Rodon. Hopefully we'll get Rodon back before the end of the season, but we had built in a little bit of insulation perhaps for these to happen. I assume Tyone will be who Boone moves back into the starting rotation with Cole, Montgomery, Nola, and Syndergaard. So we will keep fighting through it, but you always have to be prepared for pitcher injuries, and fortunately, being the Yankees, we've got a massive payroll that has allowed us to, purchase a abundance of starting pitchers. Well, we made it through the first month of the season. We're 12-9, so we do have a winning record, although we are 4 games behind the Blue Jays, who won the division last year. You can see Judge is in the top 3 in the AL in ribbies. Abraham Almonte had a nice batting streak for us. Nobody really on the leaderboard in terms of pitching, but our pitching has actually been doing reasonably well. We've outperformed our expectations by 1 game so far, so that's certainly not optimal, but given the continued struggles we've had with our pitching staff, we're glad to be hanging in there. You can see we've got Garrett Cole on. This was more cautious than anything. He's only supposed to be injured for about a week, but we with Manaea and Rodon already on the IL for an extended period of time, just wanted to be very cautious with Cole. So we will see how May goes, and hopefully we'll have Cole back in a week or 2, I guess a couple of weeks, given the time he needs to spend on the IL, but hopefully he will be ready to go and chase after a 3rd consecutive Cy Young Award. Can see that he's off to a solid start to this season, but he's going to have to take it up a notch, I'm sure, to win a 3rd straight Cy Young Award. Well, the redundancy at our pitching staff is quickly being not redundant. Aaron Nola out for 4 months, so had been pitching well for us, but we are going to be piecing the rotation together at this point. We have an incredible trainer, so it's hard for me to imagine how bad the injuries would be if we didn't have him on our side, but disappointing to say the least that we're at May 12th, and when you look at the 3 big free agent acquisitions we've made over the last 2 seasons, Rodon, Minaya, and now Nola, as far as starting pitchers, are all on the injured list with long-term injuries. 3 months left for Rodon, 4 to 5 for Minaya, and now about 4 months for Nola. So if we can hold things together and be in the playoff race, we're going to have a ton of reinforcements coming later in the season. But clearly just very disappointing that this rotation that we had built up is quickly going to be spending the entire season in the trainer's room. Well, we made it to June, still playing decent ball, .551 winning percentage, although we are 4.5 games behind the Blue Jays. But second place in the AL East, and certainly hanging in there given the injuries that we've had. Just lost DJ LeMahieu for 2 to 3 weeks, but we have a decent amount of depth in our infield, so not going to be crippling to us. You can see here that LeMahieu only hitting .231 this season with a .293 on-base percentage, so that is quickly becoming a more problematic contract for us also that we may be looking to do something with down the line. But we'll put LeMahieu on the IL. One piece of good news we got recently was that our depth seems to be helping somewhat, in that Jameson Taillon just won Pitcher of the Month for the month of May. You can see here he's 5-1 on the season with a 3.38 ERA. So the depth that he has brought to us has definitely helped. Syndergaard, who's actually the guy we signed, who we thought we would potentially have the most injury issues with, has been healthy. 3-3 with a great 2.01 ERA for us. Has pitched more already for us in 2023 than he had over the previous 3 seasons, so that's been really positive. Jordan Montgomery, decent year. You know, he's a back-end starter for us. Nice to have the lefty in the rotation, but we'll have to make a decision on whether to re-sign him. And then Cole is back from the IL. You can see has not been as good this season as he has been previously, but there's plenty of time for him to bounce back. Well, we made it to mid-season, and we are barely above 500. You can see we've fallen back into 3rd place, and we've also we're only 2 games out of the wild card, but we were in the lead for the wild card the last time we've checked in, so have not been playing well over the last month. Can't blame injuries; they're part of the game, but certainly there is a definite trend that we're seeing that if we have signed you to a large free agent contract, whether it's Sean Manaea, Aaron Nola, Carlos Rodon, Max Muncie, or even Cody Bellinger, who we traded for, you're ended up spending some time on the IL. But hopefully, as you can see, we're down to 4 weeks for Rodon, just 5 days for Muncie, and then even Nola and Strom and Bellinger are in the 2-month kind of range. So hopefully can have some of those players back for the push in September to hopefully not only have a 500 record but make the playoffs. When we did our mid-season review with Hal Steinbrenner, he's reasonably happy that we're above 500. Okay, that we brought in Jacob Stallings to improve the catcher a little bit. Haven't done much in stolen bases, and we didn't re-sign Didi Gregorius, but we have made big strides in terms of increasing attendance this year now that we are actually paying good attention to what we were charging for ticket prices, unlike a year ago. So with the team performing a little better, our attendance is about 45,000, close to 46,000 a game so far, which has been a big boost for our bottom line. So that's positive. Kind of taking a look at how some of our players are doing so far this season. Team statistics, our offense is still just not very good. Pitching, generally solid. but with the amount that we've invested in pitching expected to be much more than solid. You can see free agent acquisition Bogarts is leading our team with a 280 average. Aaron Judge, 19 homers, 276 average, both of them with a 2.3 WAR. Pavin Smith been up with the big team this year and performing pretty well as a part-time first baseman, DH outfielder. Looking more specifically into the actual stats on the batting side, you can see that those two players I just mentioned, Judge and Bogarts, are leading the team in WAR. Max Muncie was definitely contributing before he got injured, and Jacob Stallings too. Some of the players who have been more disappointing, David Fletcher, who took over at shortstop, according to Boone. He is a little better defensively than Bogarts. There's no doubt about that, but our vision was for Bogarts to be playing shortstop, Muncie to be kind of playing third base on a daily basis instead of being our DH a lot of the time, and then Fletcher being more of a utility infielder for us in a defensive substitution. But Boone is not doing that, unfortunately, so we're not getting the exact lineup that we had hoped. And then you can see here that Andujar and Gleyber Torres have both been struggling to get to the Mendoza line as far as their batting. So hopefully they can turn things around in the second half of the season. Looking at the pitching, Syndergaard has been a revelation for us. Healthy for the first time in several seasons, pitched 17 games for us, 7-5 record, 2.89 ERA. Should have over 200 strikeouts and a 2.5 WAR. Tyone and Montgomery, who were going to be borderline starters if everyone was healthy, have had to play a key role for us because of the injuries to Nola and Manaea. And then Garrett Cole is back, but having a pretty rough season. You can see 1-8 with a 6.41 ERA, negative WAR. Certainly not going to win a third consecutive Cy Young award. The issue with Cole is that you can see when we scout him, his stuff has absolutely regressed. His movement is kind of back to the worst that we've seen since we've been scouting him. And he's lost a little of velocity over the last couple of years also. So although he still has good control, you can see that we have him pegged as a 3-star player. That $36 million a year for the next several seasons has potential to become very painful for us, unfortunately. So going to probably have to make some decisions on that front going forward, but he certainly has a lot less trade value now than he did last offseason when he was coming off his second consecutive Cy Young award. But we're hopeful that over the next 6 to 8 weeks, we'll start getting some of the players off of the IL and back into our roster. And our goal is still definitely to make the playoffs, although the Steinbrenners will be happy if we just have a winning record after the struggles of last season. Our goals are higher than that with the amount that we've invested. So hopefully some of those big contracts will start paying dividends for us when they get back from the IL. Well, we've gotten past the trade deadline and we're into August, but the team is struggling. You can see we're 46-52, 14 games behind. It's been a tough season, but the reinforcements are coming. Rodon has 1 day of injury left, so we'll be starting him tomorrow on a rehab assignment in the minors. And we're also now weeks away from Nola rejoining the rotation, which will help. We did make a couple of very minor trades at the trade deadline. Hopefully not minor in the impact that they have, but minor just in terms of the actual players that were involved. You can see that we traded for Nick Ahmed, better defensive shortstop than Fletcher. We had hoped that Boone would use Fletcher as a utility infielder for us. Instead, he's been using him as a shortstop. So we figure if if Boone is going to be focused on having a defensive shortstop, we'll get a better defensive shortstop for us, which Nick Ahmed certainly is, and he is at the end of his contract, so he will be a free agent after this season. So if we let Ahmed go, and then Fletcher is no longer on the team, presumably Xander Bogaerts, who we had signed to be our shortstop during this offseason, may take over next year unless we can find a better option than him. So we added Ahmed and basically just had to give a non-prospect away for them to take him off of the Diamondbacks. And then we did trade away Fletcher, who was on not a horrible salary and was a very good utility infielder, but did not want him as our starting shortstop anymore. So we had to give up a couple of other players, decent prospect in Alstrom, to get Bradley Zimmer, who we just immediately waived, and Bo Naylor, who's a decent prospect as a catcher. So a couple of minor moves. Hopefully the increase in our defense at shortstop will help us down the stretch. Well, although the reinforcements are kind of coming, they are kind of not. Aaron Nola just suffered a setback in his recovery from his injured finger tendon, so he is out for another 4 months, so his season is clearly over. We have started Rodon on his rehab assignment in Scranton Wilkes-Barre. You can see he's pitched 2 games there, only went 5 innings, 5.40 ERA. Obviously, his performance is not critical. It's more just hopefully getting him built back up and ready to contribute to the major league team down the stretch. So we'll see how he does in his next couple of rehab assignment starts, and then hopefully bring him up to the big club. But you can see that he is also fragile at this point after that most recent injury. So pitching is like fine china. It's hard to keep it from breaking. It's late August. We have finally started to play better. You can see we're almost back to 500, 7-3 in our last 10. Still 5.5 games out of the wild card spot with a lot of progress that we need to make, but going to be tough to make the playoffs, but at the very least we want to have a winning record. We are about to bring up Rodon from the minor leagues, where he has been on his rehab assignment. You can see here, pitched a couple games since we last talked and certainly did better. Has now pitched 14 innings down there. Last threw 60 pitches 4 days ago, so we are going to bring him up to the big club, but put him on a bit of a he was on 100 pitch count. We're going to put him on an 80 pitch count just for initially to for the next week or two, and then up it to 90 after a start or two, and then hopefully get him back and healthy and contributing to our 500 push and hopefully our playoff push down the stretch of the season. Well, we're in early September. We're back to 500, but Nick Ahmed's Yankees career has likely come to an end with a hamstring strain out 2 to 3 months. So I guess the positive thing in this development is that we will finally likely get to see Bogaerts at shortstop down the stretch of the season, because really nobody else that we can play there at this point. So Torres would be his backup, so clearly Bogaerts is the way to go. The other good news is that Bellinger is ready to come off the IL. Certainly don't have time to even send him down to Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Need him in the lineup right away. So, we are certainly a long shot to make the playoffs at this point. You can see we're 11 games behind in the division, and we are 4.5 games behind for the wild card, but we've got a lot of teams that we need to jump over. So certainly the division is out of our reach, but we'll do our best to get over 500 now that we have a few players back, and hopefully make things competitive in the wild card over the last couple weeks of the season. Well, another rough season is over, although we were slightly improved from last season. Very disappointing. Thought we would be competing for the playoffs, and instead we didn't even get back to 500. So it'll be interesting to see what the Steinbrenner's reaction to our mediocrity is. We could lose our job. I don't think we will. If you kind of look at our goals, although we did miss out on the 500 goal, we did get better play from catcher at Stallings, and we increased attendance significantly, which will probably help us, meeting that goal several years early. But we will see what happens. Given that this has been a relatively long episode, we will cut this one here, and we will come back and kind of do a review of our plans for the off season in our next episode. But before we do that, we will take a quick look at our stats for the season. You can see from a team perspective, our offense is just not very good. We've gotta get that fixed. Pitching was certainly acceptable, top 5, top 6 in a lot of different categories, but it should have been better with the amount that we spend on it. We did fortunately get Manaea back. He pitched 3 games when he came back at the end of the season, obviously just going a few innings at a time since we couldn't rehab him in Scranton Wilkes-Barre since their season was over. And then Rodon also did come back. Didn't pitch great, but at least those two are healthy and back in the rotation. Syndergaard ended up having a really nice season for us. He is fragile. He went 12-12, 137 ERA plus, 83 FIP minus. He's been looking for about $17 million a year to sign an extension with us. So we will look at the fact that we got him for $5.6 million for 1 year is a big win, but I can't imagine that we'll be giving him the same kind of money that we already have wrapped up in Manaea and Rodon. And we've also been talking with Montgomery about a contract extension. You can see a league average kind of pitcher for us, although his FIP minus suggests he's been a bit better than that. But he's looking for a bit more than we want to pay. And then Garrett Cole will be the big decision for the offseason after 2 straight Cy Young awards. Went 5-12 with a 91 ERA plus, 103 FIP minus. His stuff is not what it used to be, and he's got that massive contract that'll be very costly for us in terms of prospects to do anything to get rid of him, but we'll see how it goes. Tyone actually pitched decently for us. You can see he won 12 games, ended up having to start 27 times because of the injuries to others. 112 ERA plus, 87 FIP minus, struck out a batter per inning. Really, he has proven that he will, be injured from time to time and is fragile. But the fact that we have him wrapped up for another couple years at $3 million a year to be kind of a spot starter for us when he is healthy is good. Lysiga had a good year, second straight year as our closer for us. 155 ERA plus, 68 FIP minus, did a good job there. We'll take a look quickly at the entire pitching stats rather than going through player by player, just to identify anyone else that was particularly interesting. You can see Luis Gil, 2.7 WAR. Robert Broom, a young pitcher, did pretty well for us with a 1.9 WAR. Nola was fine when we had him, and hopefully he will be back and healthy for next spring. So it'll be a nice addition to the team to get him. Just we're hoping to get more from him from this first season. And then you can see that Nick Goody and Chad Green and Casey Kalich and Clark Schmidt were some of the underperformers on our team in terms of the WAR that they provided as pitchers, and not shocking when you see our ERAs in the 5s, 6s, 7s, and 10s for those pitchers. So their role on the team next season for all of them is definitely uncertain. Taking a look at the batting stats, Bogarts ended up having a nice season for us offensively. You can see here 825 OPS, 5.7 WAR. Eventually did actually play some shortstop towards the end of the season when injuries and trades kind of opened up the position for him. We'll have to decide whether he is the long-term answer at shortstop, but certainly a solid bat we're happy to have. Aaron Judge, a healthy season, really good year from him. You can see OPS plus of 138, 38 homers, 108 ribbies, while batting 279. So he has been living up to his paycheck. Other than that, nobody really stood out. Stallings, the addition at catcher, had a solid season and is a good defensive catcher, so he has been a bit of an upgrade. Max Muncie obviously spent some time on the DL, still hit 32 homers, 83 ribbies. You can see his OPS plus 115. A nice solid season from him in his first year with us. And then Pavin Smith, finally got him up to the majors for most of the season, and had a respectable year for us. 94 OPS plus, doesn't jump off the page, but a versatile player who can play first and left and right for us, and also DH at times. You can see he primarily first baseman for us defensively, but also did spend some time in the outfield for us this season. The decisions that we're going to have to make, we let Fletcher go. Floreal was not the answer. We had to play him at center field because of the injury to Bellinger. Vasquez, probably going to need to trade away. He certainly doesn't have much of a role for us on the team now, with Stallings having taken over as the starting catcher, and have to make some decisions there. Bellinger obviously only played a little bit over the last month of the season, but hopefully he will be healthy all of next year and kind of return to the form that he displayed in his first season with us. And then we've got some decisions to make on some other players. We did give Benintendi a small extension, so he will be back for us next year. Going to have to figure out where Torres, Andujar, players like that, and LeMahieu, some of the guys who have been on the Yankees for a few years, where they fit into the long term of this team. So it's going to be a very busy off season, but thank you so much for watching, and we are going to turn this thing around no matter what it takes. It's embarrassing to have 2 straight losing seasons as GM of the Yankees, but we've set it up to be a good challenge for us, and we have improved the farm system, and we are going to make the most of it. We are going to turn this thing around and do the Yankees proud. You can see our minor league system ranks second out of 30 overall. Still have 4 top 50 prospects and 4 more in the top 100, and then even a couple of borderline top 100 prospects. So the reinforcements will be coming in the coming years. It's just a matter if we can play well enough at the major league level to keep our job. Hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching.